Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a really big idea, equality. But we're going to come at it from a bit of a different angle, through a simple story about friendship that you probably already know and love. We've all heard these words before, right? They're huge, they're powerful, and they are so important. They're kind of a promise and a principle, all wrapped up in one. But what does a big idea like that actually look like day to day? How does it go from being in some old document to how we treat each other when we're just grabbing coffee or talking to a neighbor? Well, to figure that out, we're going to zoom all the way in. We're going to leave the big, abstract world for just a minute and visit a much smaller, cozier one. It all kicks off with a story. So, our journey starts in the 100-acre wood with some friends you'll definitely recognize. And their story, as simple as it sounds, actually holds a key to understanding these really big ideas we're exploring. So here's how it goes. Winnie the Pooh and Piglet realized they hadn't seen their friend Eeyore for a couple of days. He'd been really quiet. So they got a little worried and decided to go visit him at his little house made of sticks. When they asked Eeyore if he was okay, he was just completely honest. He told them exactly how he was feeling, sad, alone, and that he felt like he wasn't very good company. He was basically saying, you guys probably shouldn't bother with me right now. And check out Pooh's response here. It's perfect. He didn't try to fix Eeyore's problem. He didn't give him a bunch of advice. He and Piglet just sat down, right there with him, and offered their presence. What he says here really gets to the heart of what true friendship is all about. And that was literally it. They just sat there, together, quietly. Their presence, that one simple act of just being there, that was enough. It was such a small thing, but for Eeyore, it made a huge difference. Now, this lovely little story isn't just about being a good friend. It's actually a perfect picture of a really deep truth about being human, and it's the foundation for everything else we're talking about. So, what's the connection then? How does a story about a gloomy donkey and his buddies teach us something so fundamental about the human condition? Well, at its core, the story shows us that our equality isn't based on how we're feeling on a particular day or what we can or can't do. It's based on something way deeper. Pooh and Piglet didn't think Eeyore was less valuable just because he was sad. They just saw him as their friend, an equal who deserved their care no matter what. And this shows a really cool idea. On the one hand, we're all equal in our basic worth. But on the other hand, we are all wonderfully, completely different. Pooh is not like Piglet, and Piglet is not like Eeyore. Our equality doesn't mean we're all the same. It just means we all have the same worth. And that inherent value, it has a name: dignity. It's the worth that every single person has, just because they're human. Pooh and Piglet recognized Eeyore's dignity, even when he was having a tough time seeing it in himself. And seeing that dignity in other people, well, that's where respect begins. Okay, so if we all have this built-in dignity, how do we actually show that to each other? How do we put it into practice? That, my friends, is where respect comes into play. Being respectful is, when you boil it down, pretty simple. It just means being considerate. It means thinking about how what you do and say might affect other people. It's exactly what Pooh and Piglet did for Eeyore. They considered his need for company even when he couldn't ask for it himself. Different cultures have these really beautiful, specific ways of showing this kind of consideration. For instance, in the Filipino tradition of Manopo, a younger person shows respect by taking an elder's hand and gently touching it to their forehead. It's a physical act that says so much. And language is another huge way we show respect. Also in the Philippines, adding the words po and opo when you're talking to someone older is a really common and important sign of politeness. It's a tiny change in how you speak that carries a whole lot of meaning. But, respect isn't just for formal traditions or for our elders. It starts in our homes, in the simplest ways. Just think about how parents will tiptoe around a sleeping baby. That simple act of being quiet and considerate, that's a fundamental form of respect for that child's needs. But respect goes even deeper. It's not just about seeing the dignity we all have in common. It's also about truly celebrating everything that makes each of us completely unique. I mean, seriously, can you imagine if everyone was exactly the same? Life would be so incredibly boring. It's all of our differences that bring color and flavor and fun to our world. And these differences make up the fabric of who we are, right? Our age, our gender, the languages we speak, our cultural backgrounds, our beliefs, our passions, even our life circumstances. Every single one of those things adds another layer to who we are. And this gets to a really crucial point. True respect isn't just about putting up with our differences. It's about actively embracing them, meeting all that amazing diversity in the world with an open mind, with kindness, and with a real desire to understand. Okay, so let's bring all of this home. We started with a huge idea. We saw it in a tiny story, and we looked at how it actually shows up in our everyday lives. And that leaves us with this final thought, a sentence for you to complete in your own mind. After everything we've talked about, from Pooh and Piglet's quiet friendship to beautiful traditions that honor our elders, what does respect for our differences truly mean to you? What does it create in the world? Now that is something worth thinking about.